Okay, well, this is the top producer, what we call the top producer roundtable, and we've got 3 people that have agreed to come up and talk about their business plans, how they implement their business plans, what they've learned, what to do, what not to do. Believe me, there's quite a few of you out there who could stand up and do this also, so I may be calling on you. We started a little bit late, so maybe hopefully we can run a little bit over. But without any more to do, I'm going to call on Carlos to begin with. Carlos is in Oxnard, California, and I would say that Carlos has one of his characteristics that he is very persistent. And he is, when he gets hold of something, he pushes and pushes. And I've learned over the years, I've watched a lot of salespeople. I think the 2 main ingredients for success is you've got to be persistent and you've got to be willing to ask for the business. And Carlos has both of those. So, and I think Carlos is going to be in the top running, be the top loan officer of Open Mortgage next year. So you guys are going to have to chase Carlos. So having said that, Carlos, would you please take it away?
Sure. I got my little competition to my right here. I tried building a team, so Joe asked me, he said, "Are you sure you want to expand your team? It's going to take away from your personal production." And yeah, it does, but I was looking long term. I really think you have 2 strategies, either as an individual or as a branch manager. And so I wanted to try and help others do what we've been doing. Those same sort of stories that you have, hopefully you each have that sort of story or testimonial brag book for some of those families that you have saved. It is an outstanding product, and I've enjoyed my 8 years back. Sharon knows one of my managers that I worked with at Wells Fargo, and back in the day I used to say, I absolutely love what I do. I just can't stand how much I make here. It was a serious reduction for me as a traditional mortgage originator. I had my own company and used to not having to worry about things, and then going to work for a bank platform and having the compensation plan back at Wells Fargo. It was a joke. So it was a kind of a blessing in disguise. I was up for area manager. I was sales supervisor at the time. And so I've honed my craft for a while. It takes longer than you think. Most people tend to overestimate what they can do in the short run and underestimate what they can do in the long run if they're persistent, like Joe's saying. I've just made sure that I try to understand what I'm doing. So for Linda, yeah, I have an aggressive goal for this year for personal production. My goal is to improve 92%. I did 25 loans last year. My goal this year is 48. Breaking down the numbers, I'm very analytical. That breaks down to 3 loans a month for the first 2 quarters and 4 loans a month for the last 2 quarters. I've done that before. It's not a problem. It's just a matter of having something, tracking it, and monitoring it. Year to date, I'm at 12 loans. So I'm up 157% from last year to date at this time. Yeah, woohoo. Yeah, I think we closed 5, Sharon, is it 5 or 6 this last month and 5 in February. And then we had 2 in January. So consistency, we've been our group has been pretty consistent. It's been pretty much me for the last 7 years. I brought on 4 people the last 2 years, a year and a half, and 2 are gone, and now I have 2 left. So the 2 that are left, one's licensed, one's not. We're trying to get them up and running as assistants, and then hopefully as individual loan officers themselves. Strategies, my big thing to our team is to educate and inform as many people as possible about the reverse mortgage program. Again, most people don't know about it. If they know about it, they probably don't really know about it. So in our office, that's one of the things I'm trying to do. And I do it through either B2C or B2B direct. My B2B approach, I'm going through a couple different aspects for going after businesses or referral partners. Right now, I teach 2 Heck 'em for Purchase classes a year at the local association of realtor. I'd say 90% of the realtors that attend my class don't know the product exists until we started marketing to them. The goal to get it sticky with the realtor is to help them actually become successful. Find the ones that have some success versus the ones that are just struggling, that NAR car and your local association of realtors tracks that do 1 to 2 a year. That's not the person you're looking for. You want the go-getter to begin with. Show them how they can make some extra money. I asked a simple question. Do you know any senior that's living in a household that's 2 stories that needs to downsize into a 1-story? You can ask the second question. Do you know anyone that's lost a spouse recently that house might be too big or have too many memories of their spouse? I did that to a high-producing Coldwell Banker realtor, and she said, yeah, right in my neighborhood. I said, are there any homes for sale? She's like, I got one coming up. It's right across the street from where she lives. So she picked up the $1.3 million listing, and she picked up the $975,000 house across the street. And so needless to say, $2.2 million in gross revenue to her before her broker splits. She's a fan. Right, so that's what you're trying to find is the people. Anytime you can show them how to double pop and get both transactions, that's a gold mine to them. But it could also be a strategic advantage to them to be able to reduce their commissions, right? Especially on the sale of their departure residence, you can show them how to take a discount on that side because they're going to get the full pop on the buying side. So again, I do purchase seminars, but I also teach classes and speaking opportunities. Right now, I'm averaging about 18 speaking opportunities a year. I do a monthly seminar that has probably 100 seniors in it, and but that to me is just the tip of the iceberg. I'm trying to get down into the clubs and organizations. This is part of my B2B approach of going after unions, clubs, organizations, retiree groups, and businesses. And I was saying that for one, I did a presentation to 100, and there was about 10 women there that belonged to a subgroup called the Oxnard Christian Women. They have about 70 women that meet monthly. I got to speak at their opportunity, did a meeting for them. Someone came up to me at the meeting and said, hey, I belong to the Thousand Oaks Christian Women's Group. Can you come speak at our group? Did that one. I was at Thousand Oaks, and that one led to Camargo. And so speaking opportunities, most people are looking for people to talk at various different clubs and organizations. Be that person. Be the subject matter expert in your community so that you can leverage your time. If we just talk one-on-one, you can go after one option, one deal at a time. But if you talk to many people, that opens up the sphere of influence of all those people to all of us. We can only go so far. SEO posts. I use a lot of video marketing. If you don't know, YouTube was bought by Google. Google Analytics converts every single video over into a data stream where they're analyzing the words and they're looking for the keywords, and they're going to be able to utilize that. I was talking last night with a couple of guys, and I use video from simple updates to my clients and customers, to my referral partners, as well as testimonials. Some of my clients don't like what they look like on video and will take that video down. But again, you want to post things that you're doing in the community, and there's nothing better than having one of my clients. Back Wells Fargo, they said, hey, create a brag book, have a book. And I didn't really use it. I collected it. But now with online testimonies, Reach 150, I'm not a big fan of, but it's better than nothing. And it's a point where you can point things. What I used after you guys talked about the Reach 150 is I pulled that, and then I started posting those Reach 150s and sharing that to my Google Plus and my Facebook and my LinkedIn so other people can see it in my sphere of influence. Search engine optimization. Every time I do a speaking opportunity or try to remember when I'm speaking somewhere to post that into one of my pages, the LinkedIn, Google Plus, or Facebook, my business ones. Those are the 3 that I hit. I do have a Twitter, but I'm not an active Twitter. Again, the B2B approach, create your own group. We were talking about some of the networking groups and how some groups, they just don't do anything. Find some people that you strategically want to work with and figure out how to leverage and have some synergy between you. For example, we've been going after some businesses as well as clubs and retiree groups and offering our services. If we just did mortgage or reverse mortgage specific every single month to a group, it gets old. But the whole idea of the newsletter being fun, and we did this back in Wells Fargo days too, I'd have seniors come up and say, man, did you taste that tomato bisque recipe, that banana nut squash bread? I'm like, I wrote an article for that newsletter. They didn't comment on that. They commented on the fun thing. So with the synergy, if I can bring together typical networking groups together and find someone that speaks, we can now do lunch and learns for groups and organizations and do 10 of those a year and rotate the speakers and now be able to have it. I was saying last night to a couple of people that don't forget traditional captive and non-captive insurance agent. A good insurance agent has about 1,000 people to 2,500 in their database. Someone 10 plus years has got probably 4,000 people in their database. You just need to leverage your time and understand how to work strategically and give referrals. Specifically for the insurance industry, every time I do a purchase or a reverse refinance, I quote out to 3 of my referral partners for insurance an opportunity to win that deal. It doesn't matter who they're with, right? It's up to the client to decide if they want to change or not, but I'm given an opportunity by giving a chance for them to get a lead. And I don't know how many of you guys give leads to your referral partners, but it's that whole give to get premise and the law of reciprocity. Track and monitor. I think you need to make sure that you're looking at your analytics, what your capture rate is, how many leads you have coming in. Look at return of investment as well as return of your time. If something's not working or if something is working, you need to make sure that you're putting time appropriately or money investing in it. I've done, like I heard, spending money and now knowing that's not what I want to do. $1,000 a month for something that didn't work. So actually monitor and make sure that you use people if you're going to outsource a reputable person, and don't trust them. Track and monitor that. I used a paper recently, our local paper, for a Facebook advertising campaign. They claimed that they were subject matter experts. I didn't want to spend time on that. I knew more than they did. I made sure that they had a squeeze page and landing page, or that we created one so that you can have a call to action and capture that information. Because otherwise, all you're doing is spending money for having a brand awareness campaign, even though they're calling a lead management campaign. So I keep track of that. I probably wish if I'd have started over again, I wish I would have been a better database manager from the beginning. Having heard the comments about a couple thousand people, I got a couple thousand, but I'm not a good person that stays in touch. So that's one of the things I've been teaching my team to try and help me. And this is where you can either hire assistants. I was told for years to hire an assistant. I never did. I thought I could do it all myself. But as I was saying, you get capped out at a certain level that you can't do everything. And for me, it was about 10 to 12 loans, maybe 15 loans where I got capped out. And but I have done, my biggest month was 68 purchase transactions in 1 month that I closed. And you know, I worked 7 days a week for 3 straight months, maybe 90 hours a week. And I said I never wanted to go back to that. So reverse was a nice transition from the forward side for me to just kind of relax a little bit and enjoy life with my wife and my 4 kids. My source of business is very predictable now. I have a steady stream of referral partners and clients. Right now, for 2015, banks and HMCs, people that don't do the reverse mortgage, is still a large portion of my business. From the bank platform side, 8% of my business. From the mortgage consultants that don't do reverse, 20% of my business. Internet searches, if you're not doing the work, you're losing out. It was 12% of my business last year. Past clients, if you're not mining your own database. Urban, I complained to Joe, Urban is sending out their flyers to our customers saying it was them that did the original loan, and they're doing their own heck'em to heck'em refis on your business. Shame on us if we don't stay in touch with our people. Seminars, 20% of my business. It's an active, big part of my business. And again, realtors is my big one. Heck'em for purchases right now, on average, 20 to 30% of my business. Last year it was 20. This year, same sort of statistics. My internet is up it's about 16.7% right now. And my past clients is 58%. I really have honed in on going back after my database, looking for clients that were happy with me, getting testimonies, staying in touch with them, and looking and then asking for more business. Questions, or do I pass it? Question was, what do you mean by internet? I'm talking about internet inquiries. So most of my clients type in reverse mortgage in their city. And any time of the week, month, or year, I have probably 7 to 12 of page 1 organic results. So I don't pay for being placed on the top. But if you come into my area, you're going to come up against 7 to 12 posts that are all organic from me posting things in, and then, you know, SEO placement. That's how you want to dominate page 1. Yeah, again, there's these people, dime a dozen. Good ones are hard to find. Sounds like Linda found a really good one, but most of the people that I hear that are claiming to be these experts in search engine optimization and marketing, and I know more than they do. They're just charging crazy dollars to be able to do this. And most of them use duplicate content, which the new algorithms for Google and all the search engines, if they see duplicate content, they will absolutely negate it and they'll delete it. And it actually hurts you by having that on there. So you have to have the backlinks and something unique, or else it's going to actually get into trouble. Anyone else? Question? Comments? Yes, sir. Yep. I moved out to Oxnard maybe 11 years ago. I have no idea what that sign says. The big sign that people talk about is called the big sign, and it's for the auto mall. And so, no, my office. Okay, my office is in Ventura. I live in Oxnard.
Hi, Carlo. All right, I'm going to skip Linda since we've already heard from her. I'm going to let her go last. Don, I'm going to call on you next. Don lives in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Actually, Bluffton, I believe, South Carolina. There, yeah, actually. And I would say I talked with Don 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, when we were trying to recruit him, or he was checking us out. And he has been an executive in several companies, high-level executive, and he somehow found out about the reverse mortgage and said, "This is for me," and all of a sudden got a second career. And I would call him a professional, if I had to put a tag on him. But I do catch him in the evening. He's walking his golden retriever on the beach sometime at Hilton Head. So, Don, would you come up here and tell us how you do? Tell us what you do and how you do it.
Yeah, I'm not really sure I should be here based off of all of the people I've met, including that talk right there. I'm not really sure why I'm here, but I'll tell you a little bit about myself and what I've done down in Beaufort County. I retired from the computer business about 15 years ago. I was with well, first of all, I spent a year in Vietnam. I always tell my seniors that because they appreciate the fact that there's someone that spent a year in Vietnam. But after that, I joined IBM, and I was a salesman with IBM for about 5 years. And then I had an opportunity to join a startup company called Storage Technology Corporation. And of course, no one knew anything about storage technology. No one knew the name. No one knew anything about it. It was called Storage Pardon? Yes, exactly. Right. So I joined them. We were about a $20 million company, and 23 years later, we were a $2.5 billion company. We had filed Chapter 11. We had done all kinds of things and made acquisitions. And my last 4 years with them, I was a corporate officer in Colorado, and I had about 125 offices. So that's my background. So when you guys talk about Wells Fargo and all these things, I know nothing what you're talking about. I didn't know anything. I still don't know anything about forward mortgages. About 5 years ago, my sister called me from Virginia Beach and asked me if I would help her evaluate reverse mortgages. And my brother was in Concord, North Carolina, and he asked me to do the same thing. I majored in sociology at Wake Forest University, so even though I was in the computer business, investigating this reverse mortgage thing, which, by the way, I responded to each of them by saying, "I'll help you look at it, but I've never heard anything good about it." That was my answer. So I met with Wells Fargo, got on the phone, talked with a guy named Jerry Garner in Charleston, who was a top performer for Wells Fargo. Yep, and actually he was going to hire me to join them at the time Wells Fargo got out of business. So I've only been in the business about 4 years, but I went about it saying, I love this product. I recommended, by the way, my sister do it. I recommend my brother not do it. I said, I love this product. It kind of pulls on my sociology heart, and this is something I really want to do. So I got licensed down in Beaufort County, which has about 150,000 people in it. I didn't know anyone. I had no mortgage experience. I didn't really do anything other than say, how am I going to go about building a business very similar to the way we built Storage Technology Corporation when no one knew anything about us, didn't want to talk to us, and had a lot of skepticism about this new startup company that was trying to compete with IBM, Hitachi, Amdahl, and some of the major corporations. So I went about it the same way. I developed a business plan. I don't believe in long, drawn-out, lengthy business plans. I developed a 4 or 5 page business plan that talked about marketing, talked about networking, developed a marketing strategy. And I tried to say, all right, how am I going to apply this experience I have in making calls and running corporations into building a little business in Hilton Head, South Carolina? So that's really how I got into business and how I got started. The first thing I did really was, or one of the first things was, I made probably 10 cold calls a day. A lot of people don't like for cold calls. I grew up making cold calls. I love making cold calls. I just knock on damn banks' doors and say, I want to talk to the branch manager. 99% of the time, as you know, they'll give you that few minutes, and they think they're giving you 10 minutes. It turns out to be an hour. And when the hour's over, they trust you, they believe you, and they understand the product, and you've got them, and you get the card and go put it back in your Excel spreadsheet. I did a lot of that for the first year or two. I think the first year I ended up doing about 12 loans. Last 2 I've done a little bit more than that, around 20 or so. But I do a lot of seminars. I think you mentioned 18 seminars. I do quarterly big luncheon seminars at an older age community. I do a monthly breakfast seminar. I do seminars now at the Hilton Head Area Council of Estate and Financial Advisors. I believe that is a name. But this is a group of about 75 people that across all disciplines, CPAs, financial planners, insurance guys, whatever. They've asked me for the last couple of years to give presentations to them. I give them to Hilton Head Area Association of Realtors, Beaufort County Association of Realtors. And all of my business, really, I really don't understand this, the social media stuff that y'all are talking about, because I'm new to the business. I'm just trying to get a damn order and, ship a product. But 90% of my business comes from referrals. I don't do any internet stuff. I don't really do any advertising. I do write articles every now and then for newspapers. Most of my seminars, the subject matter is the truth about reverse mortgages. So on my ad that I put in advertising this, and I'll get 20 to 30 people on the big luncheon ones, and anywhere from 4 to 6 or 8 on some of these breakfast things. But it's been successful. I'd say 80% of my business comes from referrals, comes from these bankers, comes from these financial planners, comes from these CPAs, come from these mortgage people, many of which I know that do not do reverse mortgages. They send them to me. And I've found that, when someone sends me business, and I'm not telling any of you anything you don't already know, but, there's not any competition, really. When someone sends you something and they say, Matt Stewart told me to contact you, it's almost never a competitive situation, because they trust me because of that. And then I just try to do my deal and bring it in. And also on the seminars, I've done a lot of PowerPoint presentations to large groups. My seminars to seniors are very informal. I don't do PowerPoint presentations. I don't do anything formal. I always dress, by the way, with a coat and tie, which is interesting. But I do that for a lot of reasons. I'm 72 years old, and I believe that a lot of these people in my generation, someone coming into their home, and I do all of the business in their home, not in my office. I've probably had 3 people come into my office in years. I always go to their home. And I believe people of that age appreciate the fact that someone comes in professional, and is going to treat them with proper respect. So, and I do my seminars also in coat and ties. I have the coat and tie on, and I just stand up, and I have a bullet, about 10 or 12 bullets, and I make sure they understand I'm here all day. We will not leave here until every question you have is answered. And we're going to talk about heirs, and we're going to talk about all the expenses, and we're going to talk about all these things that you've heard about, because the name of this topic, the subject of the seminar is the truth about reverse mortgages. And when it's over at the end of the day, you'll know the truth, and you won't have to worry about what someone else says. And it generates a lot of business. I get, I very rarely do a seminar that I don't get 2 or 3 leads. And then the other thing I do, which is kind of strange, my wife says this anyway, is when we go on vacation, I always take a coat and tie. And if I'm going up to Highlands, North Carolina to fly fish for a week on vacation, I always take a coat and tie, and I'll take a couple of afternoons during that week, and I'll just go out and knock on bank doors. And it's amazing how you go up into the mountains someplace in these banks, and they've never had anyone come in here and talk to them about reverse mortgages before. And I get a lot of leads out of little places in North Carolina because I did that on vacation. My wife says, "Are you crazy? You're going to go out and make calls?" Because I, like you, I love the business. I believe in the product. I understand the product. I can answer the questions. And almost always people have skepticism and misunderstandings. And they like, pardon? Plus, I didn't even think about writing off the business. No, I would never think about that. Yeah, but, yeah. Yeah, when I started, I had 0 contacts. I probably have about 1,500 now. I've probably got 10 spreadsheets. I never visit with anyone, talk to anyone. If I can get a car that I don't come back and put it in the spreadsheet. I've got a financial advisor spreadsheet, realtor spreadsheet, banker spreadsheet, senior real estate specialist spreadsheet, you name it. I've got a spreadsheet. And all these articles I read that are in the Reverse Mortgage Daily and things I want to send out, I send out broadcasts to them monthly if I've got something. So, and I always follow up. Again, if I visit a bank, like I visited 8 last week in Highlands, North Carolina, I took an application, I visited with a prospect, and I made 7 calls. And within 3 or 4 days, I sent all of those banks thank you letter, thank you notes, and some of them wanted attachments, about, and I've got some attachments that I sent about the facts and myths, the myths about reverse mortgage and all that. So I don't think I'm really doing anything special, but as a result of that, I hope to do 30 this year. I'd love to do 30. I don't have a silly. I never have believed in setting goals. Some people say reach for the stars, and you don't get mud in your eyes. Some people say set unreasonable goals. I never have felt that way. I've always felt like that I want to have a stretch goal, but a goal that I really do honestly believe deep down inside in my gut that I have a chance of doing, and I'd prefer operating that way. So I'd love to do 30. I think I've submitted 9 applications so far, and there'll be 3 or 4 more that'll be coming in the next month. So by the end of the first 4 months, I hope to have about 14 or 15 applications in. So I'm on track, but we'll see what happens. Anything else? Any questions? Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I've not really had, in the remote cities like in the mountains. There's one gentleman up there that actually was referred to me by a banker, and I did not have the North Carolina license at that time. I had to refer him to someone else, and he went with a homeowner's mortgage, and the appraisal didn't work there. But I've not really had any problems up there having appraisals not work in Highlands, Cashiers, Raleigh. Some of the bigger cities too, Charlotte. Yeah.
Don, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
2 more things about Don. He actually has some grandchildren in Atlanta, and his wife would love to move to Atlanta. And he said, how in the world can I do that? Well, I said, the Probably the only way you can do that is if you get involved with social media, because you can be at two places at one time. But also too, when the ops were talking about, the loan officers that really take care of their business, they send us good files, they take care of closings. Don's in the top three, so I wanted you to know that. But having said, he would like, if he ever, I don't know if your wife is going to push you to move to Atlanta, but if you do, you're going to need to know about social media. So, Linda, you want to come up and talk about that, or whatever you want to talk about? This is Linda Weilert, by the way.
Thank you. So as you know, I'm trying to increase my digital presence, and I'm into the whole social media thing, but that's not all that I do. So I'm also a big believer in going to the banks and meeting people one-on-one and generating new relationships where I can inspire confidence in them. So I've been with Open Mortgage for 3 years. I came from Bank of America, MetLife, Genworth, and now Open Mortgage. So before I got into the industry, I was like many of my clients' children. I was researching for my mom and dad for a reverse mortgage with my other 2 sisters. And at that time, my parents' home was worth $735,000. And my parents had a loan of $168,000 on their home, and the reverse mortgage was able to help them pay off that loan and give them a line of credit. Greg Hacker was actually my parents' loan officer. They did a refi, so I met Greg after I got into the industry. No, just before I got into the industry. And today, my parents' home is worth $1.6 million because they have an apartment in the back, and they owe $450,000 on their reverse mortgage. So they're richer in equity today than they were back in 1995 when they did their original reverse mortgage. So it was very emotional for our whole family because the 3 siblings, 3 girls, 2 were for the reverse mortgage, and the other one, let's move mom and dad, and she was looking at a condo 2-story far away. I'm just like, that's not going to work out for mom and dad. First of all, you also have to look at property gains taxes, right? Because it's huge. And plus we wanted our parents to stay where they were comfortable. So they're in a reverse mortgage. It's been successful for them. I was a big believer. That's what got me into the industry. I was a notary doing reverse mortgage sign-offs. That's where I met Greg. And Greg was kind of like my mentor until I was recruited by Bank of America. And then I did some time there and so on. So the basic fundamentals for me in growing my business initially was just going to the banks and going to the loan offices and going into now real estate offices. But, everywhere I go, my passion of reverse mortgages comes with me. So if I'm at the dog park, which I'm there frequently, I, share what I do because ultimately we start to talk and people ask, what do you do for a living? And so we share, and then my business card goes this way and I receive another business card and I download it to my World card. It goes into my contacts. They get my newsletter. But I do get referrals that way, and I've closed 2 loans from a dog park. I've closed 1 loan from a coffee shop, 2 loans from Safeway. Just talking to the checker. So I talk to everybody about what I do, and I'm authentically interested in what they do. And I think that's very important to put yourself in their eyes. And so when they're describing what is occurring in their life, of course, you're going to listen and you're going to be sympathetic or empathetic to what it is that they're struggling with. And if you can help, then that's when you provide your options. So in terms of my strategies and what I thrive to do for myself to build my business up is there's a few different things. My brain is so clogged with so much ideas. I have to bounce them off of my husband. By the way, this is my husband, Chris Weilert. He works for Open Mortgage, and he just passed his NMLS test. So when I came on to Open Mortgage, I knew that this was going to be our business. And my husband he quit his job, and we work together, and he is the one that gets me out the door every morning, well, kind of late morning. And he is the one, I come home and everything, he is my rock. He's behind the scenes, everything, paperwork, finances, laundry, everything. So he makes sure that I get out of my home, and that I am going to be effective that way. And I know that I'm going to be effective that way because I know he has my back. So the only thing I could close with you is give yourself a goal. So for me, my goal today is I'm going to go back to visiting the banks on Saturdays. I do a Saturdays blitz. So if there's a Saturday that I'm available, if I can make 1 or 2 Saturdays a month, I'm going to make sure that I'm out the door. He's going to make sure at 8:45 a.m. I'm going to go to as many banks and reconnect with all those bankers that I've known for so many years, and meet new bankers, find out who their manager is, find out who their manager is, find out who their loan officer is, find out who their manager is, and I'm just going to collect business cards, meet people, get all their information in my newsletter, and also send them a personal email saying that it was nice to meet them, and I look forward to working with them in the future. So be that person where you inspire confidence about this product. Make sure that they understand everything that you're saying, and most of all, be patient. And that's what I've learned over the years, is to be patient. And as long as you are informative and you're inspiring that confidence in them, then they will understand and believe you. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Any questions of these? I'm going to ask a few people that don't know. I'm going to ask them to come up. We got 15 more minutes. So I'd like to ask Mike, would you come up, please? Great. Mike has been putting up some pretty big numbers. Dennis Solutions branch. Dennis Solutions branch is probably the #1 branch now. Or close to it, Carlos. So they're doing something. So let's find out what they're doing.
Okay. Well, partly what we do, and Patty and I. Well, Patty has been in the reverse mortgage business probably about 6 or 8 months before me, and we've been together for at least 12 to 15 years. I'm not sure exactly how long it's been, and doing reverse mortgage ever since then. And so we both came from a lead generation company where they did a lot of marketing, inbound leads came in. And so we've done a lot with inbound leads throughout the last 10, 15 years. Some years better than others. And during the mortgage breakdown, a lot of that broke up. But and I'm one who's make a ton of calls a day. I'm on the phone all day long and have a big database and following up on leads, and can make anywhere from 20 to 100 calls a day easy. And I have one thing that I've always known, and somebody early on in the mortgage industry said this is going to be the longest marathon you'll ever run, and it's true to this word. And even 10, 15 years ago, I was telling everybody that right now is the easiest time to do reverse mortgages, and every year that you're in this, it's going to get harder and harder, and the competition has increasingly gotten more competitive, and it has gotten harder. And you have to work harder for each loan you get now. And so one of the things that I always have done in all these phone calls that I make is I make sure my day ends on a positive note. And whenever I'm calling out and you get rejection, no matter how small it is, I always end on a positive note. And that leads me into the next day. So, it's all about gaining trust, whether you're talking to realtors, to the client on the phone. You have to get that instant rapport and make them believe and trust in you. And if not, then you're not going to go anywhere in that phone call or connection. So it's a trust belief issue, and that's kind of what I do. And mostly what I do is on the phone. I do go out and meet realtors, bankers. Probably 20% of my business is referral. The rest is on leads that have been provided, and so we do by marketing, and it does work. I mean. Thankfully, Dennis has scoped out the right providers for us, and I know we've changed a lot of vendors throughout the last year and or 2 years, whatever it's been now, and So I'm not even sure who we're using now for our lead providers, but I am going to, I wrote out my list today, and I'm going to increasing. I do use Reach 150 and going to continue to work more on social media and financial planners. And so, yeah, I'm striving to get my referral business more, and that will make me more successful and put up bigger numbers. So we can be third in the nation. Thanks, Joe.
Did you say 20 to 100 calls a day?
Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah. And that's self-dialing. I mean, if you're on a dialer, you can do a lot more.
Yeah, yeah. That's actually dialing. That's really a discipline. My hat's off to you. Dennis?
So yes, I'm in Bellingham, Washington. Bellingham, Washington is the furthest town closest to the Canadian border. So I'm actually closer to Vancouver, BC than I am Seattle. And I was driving out to Medford, which is about a mile from California, to do an application. And people say, and so the weird thing is that when you go and sit in somebody's house, you hear so much more of their story. You see where they live, you feel it, and then when you come back into the office, you bring this intrinsic value back to you that comes across on the phone when you're talking to the next person. And you can, I always tell everybody, facts tell, stories tell. And our business is we have to be storytellers.
Good, Chris. All right, we've got about 10 more minutes. Chris Valdez, would you come up? Come up. She had no idea that I was going to call on her, but she's game. So if you would just tell us how you get the business and what you do and what works and what doesn't work, and just kind of give us some clues.
Thanks for the notification. Well, I have to say that I'm not in this on my own. I've got my husband back here as well. And, honestly, he really, on his end with SEO and everything, he takes care of that. And it's just amazing how much he has learned on all of that I really personally don't understand a whole lot of. But he pulls that in that direction. I'm really big in networking. I have found that when you're developing relationships with people, word gets around. And I've even been to BNI, just subbing for BNIs. I'll have to tell you that's really great, actually. And I have pulled out from people that were members of BNI. I've done reverse mortgages for them, and it's been really interesting. Something else is I've gotten big. I'm really trying to. My goal this year has been the Heck 'em for Purchase. So I have really have a really good presentation. I also talk to them about how to fill out a 1 to 4 family contract, because it's a little different than the traditional loan contract. So that way they walk out and they completely understand what the program is, and then they also understand how to fill out that contract. And then I have follow-ups, that we do with them for emails. We have an email campaign that we go on to. I have another one that I'm about to start up, which is a video email campaign. And people are more likely going to press that button, maybe if you got some crazy glasses on or something, and figure out what is it that she wants to talk about, or what's the important fact for the week, or something to that effect. But they want to see your face. So that's something that we're kind of working on well too. And I'll let you know next year when I'm up there. When one of us are up there, we'll let you know how that goes. But I would definitely say networking is a really good thing. Getting out there with different groups, seeing your presentations, looking into those 55-year-old communities. But But I would say yes, SEO. I would say email campaigns. Check into video email campaigns. Network out to all kinds of businesses. Try subbing in BNIs because those are really great, believe it or not. You're not paying that $600 a year that you got to pay. You get to eat their free lunch or breakfast that they give you, and you're going to get to pass out your card. You're going to introduce the person that you're subbing for, but then you're going to get to put your information out there as well. And I've pulled in people when they have at restaurants. I did a reverse mortgage for a lady that was sitting there listening to me. I walked up, I subbed for this BNI, and then after that, she came and pulled me inside and said she was interested in doing a reverse mortgage, and we talked after that, and boom, got it done. So, but the other thing is keep your passion. Man, I have such a passion for this, and I get so emotionally involved with these seniors. And I mean, I have cried with them. I have laughed with them. I just closed a loan that took a whole year to get done because we dealt with legal issues and so forth, and we stuck by. And then stay in communication with your clients because that is going to bring you back referrals. That's it.
Not bad, Chris. For no notice. I think I'm supposed to wrap up now. Or do we have time? What? Okay. Mr. Gordon, you have some wrap up time? Okay. Okay. Great. All right. Well, we'll have a wrap up here, and then we'll go over there. All right. I guess what I want to kind of go over what we heard today. I think it's obvious to me, anyway, that Open Mortgage has really provided all of us a really great support team. You got a sales team who wants to do everything to increase your sales, from getting hopefully a new CRM to a business advisor now to new marketing. Hopefully give you some ideas today. I think, did you notice that these people here all had goals? Interesting, as Sharon shared with us, goals are so important. So I urge everyone here to have goals, specific goals. Write them down, put them on your desk, put them on your wall, put them on your mirror. The guy today, Scott was Scott you, but other Scott was really. Hopefully, everybody will start doing that tomorrow or this afternoon about trying to figure out what the other person's color is. But also we heard from Claudia about social media, and I hope everybody took it hard. I think if I was going to be originating, that's what I'd do. I really see value in it. I see it growing. I see it growing every day, every year. But as we looked at, you got to be involved too. You've got to grow that list. But you can actually be two places at one time. You want to be a pro. You want to be known as Reverse Mortgage Pro in your area. And what can be better than dropping emails, down continuously on the people that you want to impress or want to convince them that you are the pro. And to be truthful, you can pick any area in the country you want to. In social media, you can just pick a zip code 1,000 miles away, and you can be the pro. You can start dripping. If you can actually buy lists too. You can buy lists of financial planners. You can get lists of realtors. So I think you can jumpstart that list if you really want to spend some money or know how to get inside MLS and get some of those things. So, and I think that we learned what we got to do as far as what Sharon's presentation about goals and about what do you want to do. Pick 2 or 3. Hopefully you took that to heart, and that you'll get an accountability partner, or in some form or fashion you'll get very conscious about your business. As I've heard from these guys up here, they really think about what they're going to do every day. They have it planned out, and they're very I still can't get over 20 to 100 calls a day. But I mean, that takes something. It takes a drive, and you've got to be able to drive. But most of all, hopefully you have to have a passion, as Chris talked about, and as our brother John had talked about. You have to have a passion for these seniors. And you really got to, one thing that Scott taught me is that you got to know why you do what you do. And the reason I'm in reverse is because I want to help seniors out. And after my first loan, which I won't go into because I'll start crying, my first loan, I knew what I wanted to do the rest of my career, and that was in 1991. So I've been very blessed to be able to be in reverse mortgages for that length of time. But I know why I'm here, and that helps me drive and helps me have passion, for what I do. I don't actually get involved with the individual customer, but I feel like I'm involved with all you guys' loans. And I love to hear your testimonies and how you've changed the seniors' lives. So having said that, I think we had a very good first day and look forward to the next day. So why don't we get up and go over there.